Hey, what's up guys, back again with another video in the Spigot series. This time I'm going to teach you how to make a fly plugin.
I've been so lazy, I'm still coming through with the heat like you stuck in a sauna. I just got bored of my old place, I bought a new one with a pool and a sauna. But I'll probably sell it cause I'm overzealous, I got lots of plans for the commas. I sent some money to my mama, I'm presidential like Obama. And you a James like you.
Alright guys, so now that we know how to work with the main features of Spigot development, you know, like everything I've taught you basically, like configuration, permissions, events, commands, anything like that, we pretty much have all the fundamentals we need to start making plugins, okay? And along the way we're going to learn some more stuff like, you know, teleportation, inventory systems, and stuff. Well, we already learned that last episode, but just more about that kind of stuff, and you know, small details like that. Even music, we can play like sounds and stuff like that. So we'll be learning that along the way as we make more plugins, okay? So that's why I want you to start making these plugins with me, like code along with me, because you can start gaining experience. So the only way to gain experience is actually by making these plugins. Even if you think you understand how to make these plugins, it's still good to work with them, because along the way, if one day you think you can make a plugin, you may come across a small little problem that you never found before and you may get stuck. So it's good to work with as many plugins as possible so you can work through all the problems to get all the experience you need to not run into any problems like that, okay? So experience, that's what it's all about. So we're just going to start making stuff, okay? If you have any ideas for some plugins, just go ahead and let me know in the comment section. Or you can hang out with us in the Discord server and tell us what you think and maybe provide some suggestions. Whatever you want to do, it's in the description. So anyway, let's go ahead and make a new plugin here. And like I said, it's going to be a fly plugin, so it's going to allow the user to fly around and stuff like that, okay? So yeah, let's try that out. So me.illuminatiproductions, because that's my name. Well, I'm going to change this to 1.0, not snapshot. And then, let's see, let's get a description. Fly with style. Authors, Illuminati. Website, https youtube.com. There we go. Some basic information here. And then we'll call that fly plugin. Let me change the file location here. Java. Okay. Spigot development. Fly plugin. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and create this and we'll let it load and everything. Enable auto import. That's good. We can delete this. We don't really need that. And so the first thing we want to do, of course, is open this up, and we want to make a new package here, okay? And we want the package to be our commands package, so commands, and this package is going to hold all of our commands for, you know, this plugin that we're about to make. Okay, so let's create a command here. Let's call it fly command. Inside of fly command, we want to give it or implement the command executor, what's called interface, so that we can enable command making stuff and all that. So we can use this method right here. And so we're going to do return true, because that's, you know, the proper way of doing it. Before I did return false, but now we're going to be doing return true because that's better. So now that we have that, we can register this command in the main thing here. So git command, and then we'll call it just fly, so they can do /fly. Set executor will be the name of the class. So if we open this up, we can see fly command. So new fly command. Oops. New fly command. Alright, so let's try this out, okay? So what they want to do is be able to type /fly and then allow the person to fly, right? So let's try that out. So the first thing we want to do is check and see if the player is a player. So if sender instance of player. So we don't want the console to fly, of course. That doesn't even make sense. So that's why we're checking for that. And also what we want to do is see if they have a certain permission, okay? So if player, well, we need to create a player. So player equals player casted to sender. There we go. So we can do if player.has permission, and then we can make up a permission here. So we'll just do fly plugin, or just do fly plugin dot fly. So if they have the permission fly plugin dot fly, then they can execute whatever is inside of here. So the first thing we want to do is make it so they can fly, right? So to do that, we could do player dot set allow flight, and what that's going to do is allow them to fly. Of course, it's pretty simple, right? So true, and that's going to allow them to fly. And let's go ahead and send them a message. So player.sendMessage, you can now fly. be free. Let's make it blue, because blue is a kind of flyy color. It's like the color of the sky, I guess. Anyway, so that should work if they do /fly, right? And it should enable them to fly. So let's go ahead and let's see. Well, actually, before we compile this, we need to make our plugin.yml setup. So commands, fly, description, fly free like a bird. Pretty simple stuff. Usage, you don't have to have the usage, but might as well. And now that we have all that, we registered the command, we made the command, we can go ahead and just compile it, and then I'm going to put it in the server, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm in the server now, so let's do /reload to reload my console, because I just put the plugin inside of the folder. So now we can do /fly. Oh, let's clear our inventory. Let's just kill ourselves. Kill Illuminati. There you go. Now it's loading. Come on, buddy. Alright, so let's go ahead and try the command. So it's /fly, and then it says you can now fly, be free, awesome. And then look, well, actually we're in creative, so we should probably get out of creative. So game mode, survival. Okay, and now let's do /fly. You can now fly, be free. And as you can see here, we can fly, right? So let's do /fly again and see what happens. Nothing happens, okay? And we need to enable something that allows the user to toggle fly off and on, right? Because if they turn the fly on and they can fly, which is all cool, how can they turn it off, right? What if they don't want to fly anymore? So that we want to make it so it's toggleable, okay? And so the way to toggle stuff is usually with an array list. And an array list is, hopefully you'll know what that is, but it's a type of collection. So what we want to do is basically store every player that is currently flying in an array list, right? And then what we can do is check and see when they type the fly command. We can see if they're in that list, then remove them from the list of the flying list, and then make them not fly anymore, right? But if they're not on the list, we can go ahead and add them to a list and then make them fly, right? So the list will enable us to track and see who is flying currently, alright? So that's pretty cool. I hope you understand that. So let's go ahead and try doing that. So what we want to do is go up here to the very top and then create a new array list. So we'll make it private so we can only access it in this class. So array list, and then it's going to be a list of players. So player, that's the data type. It's a generic thing. If you don't know anything about generics or anything like that, you can go ahead and watch my Java series. I have a huge series on Java where you can learn pretty much anything about Java. Not everything, but I'm still working on it. But anyway, so now we're going to give it a name. So list of flying players, because this will contain a list that we can track players with, equals new array list. That's pretty simple stuff, right? So what this is going to do is create the list of players, of course. And now what we want to do here is check and see if list of flying players contains player, so that means that the list has the player inside of it. Then you want to do something like this: player.set allow flight to false, because if they're flying, if they're in the list, that means they're flying, right? So we want to make it so they can't fly, so we'll make it false, right? So then we want to send them a message. Let's make it blue first. You cannot fly anymore. Alright, so pretty simple. And then now what we're going to do is make a else if. I'm pretty sure you can just do an else just to be safe, though. We're going to use else if so you can check and see explicitly if they're on the list or not. So list of flying players contains player, and what we're going to do is put a exclamation point in front, so that will make it opposite. So if they are not on the list, then go ahead and execute what's inside of here, right? So then it's going to set allow flight to true because they're not on the list, and then it's going to make them fly. But one thing we forgot, that's going to be fine, that's going to work, right? But one thing we forgot is to make it so we actually remove and add them from the list. So if they're not on the list right here, we want to add them to the list. So list of flying players dot add, and then we just plug in player just like that. So it'll put the player's name into that list, array list. And so the next thing we want to do for here is the same thing pretty much. So list of flying players dot remove player, just like that, okay? So that's going to remove and add the player at the same time as they're making them fly and not fly, okay? So that's pretty cool, right? Pretty advanced stuff. We were, we're actually making a command that can toggle itself now. So let's try this out. Alright, so I reloaded the plugin, so let's try it out. /fly, and now it says you can fly, be free. Now let's do it again. And now it says you cannot fly anymore, and then I fell from the sky because I can't fly anymore. So now hopefully you understand how to toggle commands in case you were wondering how to do that. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, So let's add another feature where they can make other players fly if they want to, alright? So in that case, we have to check and see if there's arguments or not, because they want to provide the player's name as an argument, of course, when they're executing command. So where do we want to put this? We want to put this in front of here. Yeah, we'll put it right here. So we'll cut this, and then we'll do if, we'll do args.length is equal to 0. So if there are no arguments, then go ahead and execute what we just did here. So that just means that, you know, we're executing the command on ourselves. And so else, we'll do else if just to make sure. So else if args.length is equal to 1. So if there is one argument, assuming they're going to use the player name, then go ahead and execute this right here. Player target, so the target player, if they're targeting someone, is equal to bucket.getPlayer, and then we can just provide the string name from this argument. Okay, so args, there we go. So that's what that will do. And args is actually an array, of course, so we need to specify 0 just like that. So it's going to take the first argument, assuming there's a length of 1, and then set it equal to target, and then now we can manipulate target accordingly. So we can just copy this pretty much if we want to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, we can do that. So we can copy target, throw it in there, and let's duplicate code. We don't want to duplicate code. So now that it's duplicated here, as you can see, what we should probably do is just make it into a method, okay? So let's try that out. Let's copy this here because it's duplicate code, and then we'll go ahead and make a method down here. So let's call it private, and it's going to return nothing, so void, and then we'll call it fly method, and it's going to be all of this code here. So inside of here, as you can see, as an error because player, there is no player variable here, so we can pass the player as a parameter here now. So we can go up here and just remove this, and then fly method, and then we can just pass in target. So now it's going to make the target fly, check their name, and everything like that for us. And likewise, we could do it up here too, but instead of target, we're going to use player because we're doing it on the player themselves, right? That's going to do all of that for us in a more simplified manner because we only have 2 lines of code here now that are pretty much the same thing here, and we used a method instead. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, let's just go and test this out and make sure it worked. So now hopefully, if we did this correctly, it should be able to target players now and make them fly and not fly, okay? Alright, so let's try this out. So we can do fly, and as you can see, I can fly, and now let's do fly, and now I can't fly. Now there's not another player on the server, so I'll just do it on myself. So fly Illuminati, and then it says you cannot fly, be free, and then I'll do fly Illuminati again, and now it says you cannot fly anymore. So it works perfectly, right? So we're pretty much almost done here. So let's just make some minor modifications to our plugin to make it even more awesome. And let's just add this thing here so we can make it so that they can only affect other players if they have a certain permission. So if player dot has permission, because they're the one executing the command, of course, not the target. So if player has permission, fly plugin dot others, then they can go ahead and do all this crap here. So I'll put that in there, and then else, if they don't have all that permission, we could say player.send message, you do not have permission to make other players fly. Pretty cool. So let's see here. So that's all dandy, right? That's all good. And so what we want to probably change now is add some more configuration. So maybe the person who's using the plugin can edit the messages that are sent here. Maybe right here, you can now fly, be free. Maybe we can make it so they can edit that, right? So the way we would do that is with the config.yml, of course. So they can specify, you know, custom stuff like that. So config.yml, and we're going to give it some custom configuration. So the first one we'll do is the on message. So whenever they are able to fly, whenever it's toggled on, then we can say all of this. So we're going to make a custom message here, and you can use the and, at, you know, color symbols. So at 2. Let's see, Illuminati fly, I'll just call it that. Illuminati fly 8, just like that. And we'll give it an E right here. And then we could say, you can, or we'll use B for this one. You can fly now, be free. Okay, that's a custom message. Then we'll have an off message for whenever they toggle fly off. So we'll just go ahead and copy this right here. Then we'll say, you can no longer fly. Pretty simple stuff. So then we'll go back here to our fly command. And so how do we hook this config, these 2 config variables into our program, right? So the way we do that is actually with a special kind of constructor we can use. So basically what I'm trying to say is we have to get a variable reference of our main class here, because with our main class we're gonna be able to access our configuration file, right? So first, before we do any of that, let's go ahead and register our configuration in our main config class here. So gitconfig, oops, not git command, gitconfig.options.copy_default. So that's gonna go ahead and load our config for us and stuff like that, and then we'll do save default config, just like that. So that's going to load our configuration for us. And so now, like I said, we want a variable reference of the main class here. So then we can just make one up here if we want to. So we'll make it private. So private, and we need the name of the class. So fly command or fly plugin, and then we'll just call the variable plugin. So that's how we do that. But as you can see here, it's not equal to anything, right? So we can't actually exactly use it yet. So what we need to do is initialize this basically. So we can do that with a special little a constructor for this class here. So we can do code generate and then click constructor, and it's going to automatically do that for us. So we just click the first one here, and then now what it's going to do is make a constructor for this class here. So whenever we use this class or construct it, it's going to take the main class as a parameter, and then it's going to take that main class and equal it to this this plugin here. So now what this will do whenever we construct this class here is set plugin here equal to the main class. Okay, there's one more thing we need to do is actually use that constructor here, but we can error here, as you can see, because we're calling upon the constructor of our class here, right? And as you can see here, the only variable option that we have here is a parameter. There's no overridden methods here, so we have to provide this parameter. So basically just put this in here. That's all you need to do. If you don't understand my explanation, maybe you need to go over how classes work and all that fun stuff. But this is a pretty simple concept, okay? So this is all you need to do to enable configuration inside of your plugins, okay? So once we do that, we can now do some stuff to access the configuration, because now plugin is equal to the main class here. So let me show you. So we can do plugin.getConfig. Oh no, we can't do it inside of here. We'll do it out here. Right here. Let's just delete all of this. So we can do plugin.getConfig, and then we can get, the different, variables and stuff like that from our configuration file. So that's going to be pretty cool. So let's try that out. So plugin.getConfiguration, and then the first one is called onMessage, of course. So this is going to be the message that is sent whenever it's toggled on, and then likewise we should do it for this one too, but for off, right? So off message. So that should take the configuration values and then put them in here. Just plug them in like that, and that should work, okay? Alright, so it's reloaded, so let's try it out, of course. So fly, and then it says you can no longer fly. But as you can see here, it didn't actually load the colors, right? It didn't even translate the colors into actual colors. It's still the and sign and 3 and all those numbers and all that. So how do we get it to convert the colors to actually, display the chat in color? So we can do that if we go back here. We can, cut this here, so we can save it, Control X to cut it. And then what we want to do is translate the and sign, okay? So chat color dot translate alternate color codes, and the first parameter is going to be the char, or the symbol that you use to represent a color. And in this case, you're going to put a single quote, by the way. In this case, you're going to use an ampersand, the and sign, right? And then the next is going to be the actual thing that you're going to translate, so the message, so we can just Control V to paste that. So that's how you do that. You do chat color dot translate alternate color codes, and likewise we're going to do it for here too. So we'll just go ahead and we'll just cut this here. So chat color dot translate alternate color codes, and sign, then paste, just like that, and that should fix that for us. So that should be good. So let's go ahead and run this here. Alright, reloading, and we'll do /fly, and as you can see here, we have the you can no longer fly message sent at the bottom. There's a little glitch here. I might have typed something wrong. It looks, yeah, right here. Yeah, I put a star by accident. So yeah, but anyway, as you can see, it actually works now. So we can do /fly to toggle it off, and now it says you can be, or no, it was already off, so we can toggle it on, and then it says you can now fly, be free. So that's pretty cool, right, guys? Hopefully you like that. So we pretty much made a, so far it's the most complex plugin we've made so far. It's pretty simple in terms of anything we can make, but it's pretty complex, considering how new you are to plugin development, I'm assuming. So anyway, this was a good accomplishment. Hopefully you like this. If you have any questions about what we did, assuming maybe you ran into some problems or any questions you might have, you could ask in the comment section below. Or if you want to join our Discord, you could join our Discord, hang out with us, ask questions, whatever you want to do. So make sure you do any of that. The link is in the description for you if you want to check it out. And also, finally, we have a code link here in the description also, where you can check all of the code from today's episode. So make sure you check it out in the description also, okay? So anyway, if you liked this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and peace.